All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live, and this is season 2, episode 1 of At Home with Mark. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me just say that I could not think of a better person for me to have on as my first guest of this next season. I am a gigantic fan of what Gabe does, and we're going to get into all the nerdiness about all his original music and all the projects that he's done and things he's working on. But Gabe, thank you so much for doing this, man. Like, this is such a thrill to hang out and kind of talk music with you.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. This is great. Thanks for
It's
having me.
awesome. Yeah, man. So my main thing, like how I always start these off, because I'm so curious, because I have a very specific moment in my life where it was like, I want to be a guitarist. I want to play music. Do you have a pinpoint moment where you remember thinking, oh, I really want to play piano, or I really want to sing, or I really want to do X?
Uh, there were probably a series of moments. I, I'm the first one was sort of where I just discovered, kind of figured out that music was powerful, and that was sort of I was probably 5 or 6, and I remember my mom was like blasting opera, and um, and she was like crying, and I was like, "What's wrong? You know, what? Why are you crying?" And she was like, "Oh, it's just so beautiful, you know." And
Mm-hmm.
that was sort of like a what kind of moment for me, like, "Oh, what is this thing that's making someone feel so strongly?" And after that, I mean, I remember seeing, and this is random, but I got obsessed with kind of Elton John and Jerry Lee Lewis and sort of piano players for back in the day when I was 11, and I remember going to see. So I was like already really into that and Beatles, Paul McCartney, and I remember going to see in 1986 in Nashville. They had this thing called the Summer Lights Festival, and I saw Bela Fleck and the Flecktones. Um, and they were just incredible. I'd never heard them before, and they were just really awesome. I remember that night. This is so embarrassing that I'm even saying this out loud, but that night I remember like looking up at the first star and wishing. I was like, I just want to be respected as a musician, like Bela Fleck. Not, I don't need to be famous. I just want to be respected. And that was like a big. I don't always think back on that, and so that's that just came to mind.
That's fair, though. I feel like that's a fair statement. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing to be ashamed of. When did you really start like seriously working on your craft behind the keys? Like, when did that happen?
You know, when I was 12, I auditioned for this band, and I wasn't sure what kind of band it was going to be, but I auditioned, and it ended up being like a teen country boy band. Um, we
That's
were
interesting.
we were we were signed to a record label and everything, and I think that's the point at which right before that, I kind of started trying to copy, Elton John and Ray Charles and people that I really liked, and I started to sort of make music my own instead of just what my piano teacher was asking me to play. Because I started taking piano lessons when I was 7, and I enjoyed it and I was good at it, but it was sort of practicing. Like a lot of people, it's hard to get yourself to practice
Hmm.
unless you have something you really love working on. And so when I got into this band, I had kind of an outlet for singing and playing and learning, and we were rehearsing like twice a week. And then I also had piano lessons and music lessons and all that kind of stuff. And so I think that was about the time that I really started buckling down. And because people always they ask me about their kids, like how can I get my kid to be into music, and I've kind of at a certain point they have to make it their own. They're never going to do it just because their parents tell them they should, So
Yeah.
that was about 11 or 12 years old when I started just doing it for fun.
Yeah. Are your kids like getting the taste for it, where they're interested
I
now,
mean,
or?
yeah. My son plays drums and piano, and, and he goes to School of Rock, which is kind of fun. And my other son, who's 4, he he definitely loves music. So my attitude is I'm not pushing him into anything, because as you and I both know, you absolutely have to love it in order to try to really pursue it as a career. But if they enjoy it, then I'm really happy.
Yeah. I take the same approach. I do not push my daughter at all. I just have good music on in the house, and
That's important.
and because my parents, like, I didn't grow up listening to music in the house. Like my parents occasionally would have like the Eagles on, or like, like Sam Cooke. Like that was Sam Cooke was a big thing for me. I love soul and R&B and funk and gospel and all that stuff. But I didn't have the like, hey, let's get in the car and drive here and we'll listen to this great album, and that's what I do with my kid. Like with your records, like we get in the get in the car and we drive to the grocery store and we're listening to one of your records. Or I'm a huge Pearl Jam fan. Like I grew up listening. That's why I became a guitarist, just because like the Seattle scene, because we're the same age. We grew up at the time when we were in middle school. That's what was popping really hard, in popular music.
I remember.
So like that's what I kind of got into, and found Jimmy and found Stevie, and like, kind of led me down a path. But like with my daughter, I try to kind of cultivate a love of music first, and then if she plays something, cool. If not, that's fine as well too,
That's awesome. I mean,
yeah.
That's all she needs, really. I mean, neither one of my parents were musicians. I mean, my mom, she kind of played piano a little bit and read music, just because that's sort of what she did growing up, and took lessons or whatever. But they just played it. They were like, that was an activity, putting on a vinyl record and like listening to, I mean, like Paul Simon, Still Crazy After All These Years, or like they lived in Texas when I was a little bitty kid, and so they discovered Stevie Ray Vaughan back then and got really kind of into him just from him being like a local guy, and bought his records. So they would blast those even after we moved away, and play like Elton John, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, and all this stuff. And that was like, they were just fans.
Yeah. What's your favorite Elton record? Because there's several that I love, but what's your favorite Elton record?
I guess the one I come back to just like really just enjoy Elton at his best, I guess, is Tumbleweed Connection.
Yep.
That's probably the one. Yeah.
Me too, man. Me too.
Because he's so raw in the way, like, it's so rhythmic and so on and raw, and like his voice is just so expressive and beautiful, and the band is just really solid, and even the production and the arrangements. I mean, I listen to it now, and I'm kind of like, well, you could tell he was listening to the band a lot when he made that record, but it doesn't matter to me. Like, even the sound quality of it is at some points it sounds even better than like Big Pink or one of the band records, and it's like he heard something really great and was like, that's really great, I'm going to do my version of it. And it was, production wise, it was almost better in some ways, even though it wasn't the first.
Yeah.
But
that record,
11/17/70, that live thing is pretty great. And Madman Across the Water.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I was a real dork. This interview could turn into just me talking about Elton the whole time, but I was a huge Elton fan when I was 12, 13, 14. I was in his fan club and like learned all the songs,
Yeah.
So, and that, even though I don't listen as much now, like it was so rooted in it early on that I can't help, even now when I listen to some of the songs from like my new record that hasn't come out yet, I'm like, oh, there's Elton again.
Yeah. Were you ever into Billy Joel at all, or did you skip over Billy?
I loved Billy Joel. I don't know why. I did. There are songs of Billy Joel's that I've loved that I just they just really are incredible. But I never went down a deep like rabbit hole of I never like bought his records and like really got into him in the same way. I don't know why. He's awesome. He was great, but yeah.
I feel like
got to play with Billy Joel. That was pretty fun.
Oh, what? I don't know that
Yeah.
story.
We did this concert for New York City after 9/11. I was playing in Paul McCartney's band, and Billy Joel came up to join us on Let It Be, and he got on the organ, and I played the Wurlitzer, and so we just hung out and like played Let It Be together.
Oh my god, dude!
For the
Talk a little bit
firefighters.
about that McCartney gig and like playing with Paul, because Paul's like I have two pictures on my wall over here. It's young Paul and older like Wings era Paul. So talk a bit about that, because I'm so curious how that made you feel doing that gig.
Gosh, I mean, like maybe the first or maybe the second song I ever learned how to play and sing on piano was "Hey Jude," So like, and I love the Beatles stuff, and I even had like Paul McCartney's solo greatest hits, that I used to listen to all the time in high school. So he was mega. I mean, it was like meeting a cartoon character or something for me. It's just like. Yeah, and I mean the story behind it is that I was recording with my band with Jono Ricks and Winston Harrison and our sax player at the time, Chandler Weber, and we were doing a record for Warner Brothers, and our producer was David Kahn. And David, I knew he was going to be producing Paul McCartney's record the next month, and so he asked me midway through our album if I wanted to be the keyboard player. And I was like, yeah.
Oh my god, dude!
It was so surreal. I mean, like, yeah. Even that concert, it kind of hit me. Even really big celebrities, and politicians, they'd come into his dressing room and they'd be starstruck because it was Paul McCartney. So it took me a good, few weeks. We were in the studio for like 6 weeks total, and it wasn't until, maybe the 5th week that I started to feel like this is almost normal. I can actually not be freaked out.
I cannot even imagine. And like just being in the presence of like the songstress that dude is, like as far as like, there's a benchmark as a songwriter to reach.
Yeah.
And we'll never reach it because it's Paul and John. And it's like, just to think about all of the, I don't know, the stories and the songs that live inside them that haven't even, he just released a new record recently. So it's just like, he'll never stop. You know what I mean? It's just, what's that one record, Chaos and Creation in the Backyard?
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my favorite records,
Yeah, it's really great. And he's so in touch with his like creative voice. That was one thing I noticed when he was in the studio. It was everything he liked to go with the simple choice, like he didn't seem to overthink things. He would just try. And me coming out of like, I think I was 23 when I was I was 23 when I was doing this record with him, and fresh out of music school, so I like know all the theory, and I could like hear something in my head and play it, and he wasn't like that exactly. When he would try, he played every instrument, so most of the tracks he would track on bass, and sometimes he would he played drums on one track, and but sometimes he'd do a guitar solo, he'd just play a pass at guitar. And he wasn't like, here's what I'm going to play and do it and then do it, It was like he would just mess around and like stumble upon something he liked in the moment and just build upon it. And I remember being really impressed with that, because he didn't have this like filter or this thing in between him and, he didn't have any preconceived constructs about what to do. He just kind of tried stuff out, and if he liked the way they sounded, he would do more of that. I don't know if that makes any sense.
I
But
mean, and then to think about all the genius probably in those moments where you're like, oh, duh, like simple is better, or this
yeah,
fits, this serves the song. Like as a
absolutely,
23-year-old coming straight out of music school, you were probably like, that was another education.
definitely,
Mm,
yeah,
mm. Were you
yeah.
playing B3? What were you doing on that record?
I played a lot of piano and B3, and then a little bit of Rhodes and
Okay, yeah,
Wurlitzer electric piano.
yeah.
Um,
Oh,
and sang. I sang on
23.
a bunch of tracks with him. That was another real treat. Was getting to look him in the eyes, and he's like, "Oh, just like lock eyes, and we'll sing. That way, we'll match phrasing." So I'm like on the mic, like trying to match phrasing with Paul McCartney.
Oh
It
my
was
gosh.
incredible.
Oh my gosh. Oh, well,
So,
let's.
but for I mean, the question was, how did I feel? And I still almost wonder if it really happened sometimes because it was so surreal for
mm,
me.
I love that. I love that. Did you so at the time, let's go back a little bit. So when you went to Miami, because it's funny when I had Jono on here, we were talking about it and I was like, I'm a huge, Gabe fan. And he's like, oh really? Yeah, and I was like, yeah, man. And then he was like, what's funny about that? I was like, none of us knew Gabe had songs. Like
Hmm.
we didn't know Gabe even sang or anything like that. So it seems like you probably were pretty quiet and kept stuff close to your chest at that time at school.
Yeah.
Because according to Jono, like he kind of made it sound like they were all like, "Whoa, these are
Hmm.
great songs. Let's do something with this." Like, what? How did
Hmm.
that happen? Like, were you like when you were in school? Were you doing classical piano at
Yeah,
Miami?
yeah. I just carried that through from, I attended Blair School of Music at Vanderbilt, their pre-college program, through high school. And so I got into Miami on a classical scholarship and just studied classical piano the whole time. But I don't, I guess I'm kind of an introverted person in general. So, um, I didn't want to make any assumptions, and I always kind of had in my mind I would love to play and sing my own music. Join some, like when I was about 17, I started, or maybe 15, I started playing in other groups. This teen country thing sort of fizzled out as the bass player and I got sort of into blues and rock and soul music and that kind of thing, and we just kind of started drifting into this other band, and when I started writing a little bit of songs, but not a whole lot, and then the summer after my sophomore year at college, I went back home to Nashville for the summer, and my grandfather was kind of at the time he was an institution at this place Tootsie's Orchid Lounge downtown in downtown Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
He was retired from the military, so he would go there like every day and just hang out from like 10 to 2 or 3. Colonel Bob, they called him, and he would welcome people in and, drink Miller Lights and, just have a good time. And
Mm-hmm.
he got me a gig down there. They had just opened this back room that was on the alley that was it was on the other side of the alley from the Ryman Auditorium.
Mm.
And it was this kind of classic room where back in the day country artists would like sneak out of Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson and all these Dolly Parton, all these people would sneak through the alley into this room on their way to Tootsie's. So they opened this room up for just somebody to play, and it was me. So I played there every Monday through Thursday from like 1 until 4 or 5 for
Mm-hmm.
tips.
Man.
And I had to come up with a lot of material. It was just me solo. And so I learned a boatload of covers and played a lot of covers, mostly rock and blues and classic rock and stuff like that, like Joe Cocker and Eric Clapton and some Elton and stuff like that. And but I wanted to also play my own stuff, and I'd been writing like 4 or 5 or 6 songs at that point. So I started playing that, and the summer went by. I went back to school, and I just kind of missed it when I was at school. I was like, I got to book something. I got to book a gig so I booked something at the Wesley Coffee House on campus, and I was just going to do the show solo, like I'd done that summer. But I was roommates with Jono and Winston, and I just kind of like backed into the whole thing. Like I just saw them, and I was kind of shy about, I was like, they're really great, man. They play so great together. They'd play at these like every Friday we would have like some kind of little concert at the school, and they would just do the coolest stuff, man. They're like together. They'd dress up and do like face paint and play this cool, like Jono sounded like he was playing drum and bass music, but it was acoustic, and Winston would have all these effects on his bass, and I was like, that is a badass rhythm section. I mean, I was just like, it'd be amazing to play with them. So, but I was too shy. So Winston was like, oh, you got to, I was like, hey, I got this thing going on Friday if you want to come see. He's like, what are you doing? And so I played him this demo I'd made that previous summer. And he checked it out. He was like, you want a bass player? I was like, yeah, if you want. I mean, that'd be amazing. He's like, I bet Jono would play with you too. And so I said, okay, cool. And they're like, why don't we put a little group together? Because you sound really good. And that's how it started. And I even did the first set by myself. And then I took a break. And then the second set was with a full band. And that was the beginning. And the response was really good. So,
what was on the demo? What songs were on the demo? Anything that made on the first couple records?
I had a song from the first record. I had a song called "Sitting at the Station." I had a song that was like a total song about waiting at a train, but it was in 5. It was like really
almost sounds Vince Garibaldi almost a little bit.
It's very much like There was a classical piece I was playing at the time. I can't even remember the composer or the whatever, but it was like. I don't remember who it was or whatever it was, but I totally ripped it from that.
Man.
And I can't
Still
remember.
guitar riffs all the time, man.
That's right. And then there's another called Flight of Fancy that I'd written with my mom. And we might have done, I can't remember what else. It was early stuff, like Corner Cafe, I think, which was one of my first songs. We did that one, and I can't remember what else. Man. We were in Miami, so I had this one that was like salsa sounding thing. It was like,
oh, heck yeah.
And it had it went into a big
yeah, man.
Thing at the end with the sax solo. It was pretty fun.
Dude, I've gotten so into Cuban music because of Jon Favreau.
Oh, yeah.
Because of that movie Chef, and then his subsequent TV show Chef. Have you seen any of those?
I don't think I've seen that.
Oh, man.
Huh.
First of all, the movie Chef is a great night for you and your lady to sit down and watch it. Shit. It's such a great movie. It's feel good. John Leguizamo's in it. It's killing, but the music in it is crushing. It's all this Cuban. I can't even. It's like I need to buy some of it because it's like I love it so much. I don't own any records like that, but like anytime I hear it, like there's like a Latin version of the Coldplay song Clocks. Have you ever heard that?
No.
Yeah, and it's so dope. It's really cool. Whoever arranged the piano piece for it and everything, I don't know who did it. I can't remember. It's been a while. But like I'll sit down at my piano sometimes and try to work that out because it's just got, I mean, first of all, that's a beautiful song. I mean, no one can deny how beautiful some of those Coldplay songs like Fix You and stuff are. But whoever arranged it is like in that like scene, like what you were just doing. Because like the piano for me, the thing that I love about what you do is because I come from that Ray Charles, Sam Cooke, Otis Redding world, Donny Hathaway, Yeah. So when I hear a song like, Till You're Gone for the first time, I'm like, this dude speaks my language, like 110%. And then when you like started playing like Lay It On Me, when I first time I heard that,
Mm.
we can start talking about your new record and everything, but that song inspired me to sit down and I wrote something like for my new record.
Oh, awesome.
And I'll have to send it to you after this, because it's like, it's such a demo. It's in a terrible shape right now because it's still being flushed out. But like, you totally inspired me to sit and do this when I heard that song, just from hearing it once. So, talk to me a little bit about like the gospel influence in your playing. And I'd love to hear how you approach it, like when you're writing.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I really heard gospel piano for real was actually the first time was on that Paul Simon record. Richard T was playing on this song called Gone at Last, and it just lit me up so much hearing this song. And Phoebe Snow sang this great vocal solo at the end, and I was just so excited by it, and then of course Ray Charles. I mean, Till You're Gone is like Ray Charles and early Elton John, like smashed together.
Yep.
With me, and like that's where that came from, and I think part of the reason I resonate with that so much, other than just listening to it and loving it, Aretha Franklin was just like, I just couldn't get enough of Aretha Franklin when I was a teenager. Like her records. Maybe I wonder if some of it has to do with the fact that I did grow up going to church, and so while it wasn't like a black church with like all the like amazing gospel music, it was a lot of the same hymns. They were just sung differently, and so those chord progressions are just, they're so satisfying to me. When I like. They're just built in, because I did when I was, I did go to church like a lot of Sundays growing up, and hearing the, I try to think. There's even one we were playing with Tedeschi Trucks Band that I hadn't heard before, but it reminded me of another thing, like this whole like. Called I Wish I Knew. I wish I knew how, but I know to be free. And this move.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of this other hymn that I used to sing growing up, all the like most like the way we would sing it. It was
Totally.
But it's the same like same stuff. So I just like, it brings out this joy in me to hear those progressions, and to add a little of that like more freedom. Just like it just brings me alive. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that just made me extremely happy inside when I heard a couple of those changes when you were playing them. So like, I know exactly what you mean. When you're working that stuff out, what I've learned and realized about the, I don't know, about gospel piano coming from a guitarist world is basically the bass note makes all the difference in the world.
Oh yeah.
So like, how does that work for you? Like, do you like intentionally think about the chord, or do you think about, I'm going to change the bass note here to change the quality of the chord? How do you approach that?
I do like to mess with the inversion. Like I like to do a lot. I like to do chords that have the fifth in the bass. There's a song that's actually kind of gospel-y the way I play it solo, but it's from the Turns to Gold record called If I Love You. And it's like... But a lot of times I'll just like to pedal the A while I'm playing the D chord, It gets that sort of... And it's something it's unique to piano. I feel like it's unique to it comes more naturally to do that on piano than on guitar, because guitar you kind of have to make a little exception, and it's not it's not as easy as on piano. And I think that's maybe why you hear it more on piano.
Mm-hmm.
But the way, but like with that song you're talking about, "Lay It on Me," um, just the leading tone of I'm playing. You don't have to. What is it? You don't have to take the fall. I mean, it's an E chord, E7 going to A minor.
Mm-hmm.
But if you put that G sharp in the bass, it leads up to the A minor so well. You don't have to take the fall. So I don't know. I'm always just messing around with it. And you know what comes into play a lot are diminished chords in gospel. It seems like this whole as a way of like leading in. You know.
Mm-hmm.
You know. I don't know. I just like to mess with it.
When I discovered like going from a G chord to playing the D sharp over B dominant to E minor, that whole change right there. So like,
say what?
Like so playing like a G chord, just like a straight up like root position, and then playing the D sharp over B dominant.
Oh yeah, same thing.
To
same
E minor,
concept.
It's just such a classic.
So good. And then the whole, and I put this in other songs that aren't even gospel, like the walk down from that, like, and then the walk down to D with over the G7. Just you know. You know.
Oh man, it's so
funny. You could do it all day.
I know, man. I know. If I ever come down to Nashville, I'm gonna have to just like get together with you and pay you to take a piano lesson because
come on, man.
There's some stuff that I really want to open up. I started working on like preacher chord stuff on guitar. Just, you know, if you're pedaling like on an A, like going between A and then B minor and all the different inversions, so you can get those kind of gospel-y bounce, but on the guitar. And it's kind of opened up my eyes to a couple things because I play in open C tuning, but I also play in standard tuning, and I also play in C standard. So I'm like, I bring 3 guitars to every dang gig because I'm playing. My mind has to switch from playing in an open tuning to like playing standard and playing in anyway. But
wow,
like just doing that stuff is totally like taking the piano knowledge that I have, the little bit I have, to try to translate it to guitar has totally made the guitar fresh again. You know,
well, that's good.
You know, it's just like, but piano, man, as far as I'm concerned, like I told you, like Bruce Hornsby, if I could play like he plays, I might never pick up my guitar again. Like, the guy just splits his brain like a. It's just nuts.
He's out. Yeah, he's amazing. Another Miami guy. At least briefly, he went there. But that's funny you say that because I actually have spent a lot of time wishing I was a guitar player. Like
really,
just because the one thing you don't get in the same way is the rhythm. You know. Like with the guitar, and that's what I noticed when I play. You know, I play acoustic guitar on a couple songs on stage, and it's just the rhythm of it is really compelling. I think to the audience, and so I've tried so hard to dig in hard enough on the piano into a groove to make it feel as grooving as a guitar.
You do it. I mean,
hopefully it works, but I think I always feel like I'm never quite getting there, and maybe that's why I try so hard to try to get so deep.
Nah, dude, you're there. You're there. We were listening to the live in Boston record New Year's Eve, playing Clue and playing board games, and my whole family, like, I told you, man, we listen to you all every day practically, but like, you're in the house every day. And lately, Mike Doty, he's in the house heavy now. But
he's great.
But like that whole record is just you and a piano, and like your time, and everything grooves and everything feels good. So like, you got it, man.
We were in a good spot on that tour when I recorded that. I was on tour with David Ryan Harris in 2016, and it was probably maybe 3/4 of the way through the tour. So we were close to the end. So we were pretty good. We were in practice, you know. So we were playing good sets.
What venue was that in?
That was at Berkeley. It was
at the BPC?
Yeah, it was at the BP. No, it was at the Cafe
David
939.
Oh,
Yeah, right? Is that what it's called?
yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, the
Yep.
little place.
It is, but it's a cool little room.
It is. I played it when it first opened in like 2009, and it was really just sterile and clean, and it's
Yeah.
finally it's been lived in now, so it feels really cozy and good in
Yeah.
there.
It's got some funk on it now, a little
Yeah, some good
bit.
funk.
So, I wanted to ask you, so I told you, I found out about your music when my wife and I were watching The Proposal, and I heard your tune, and I was like, oh crap, Find My Way is like my new jam. I need to find out who this dude is. I need to buy all of his music, and I need to figure out what the hell he's doing on the piano.
Mm.
But then, whatever, a couple of years ago, when we lost Kofi, and then you kind of came into Tedeschi Trucks, and I was so happy because I was like, he's perfect for that gig. What was that like learning that music, and how much time did that take for you to wrap your head around all those tunes and everything?
Uh, they called me. I guess was it 2 years ago? I can't keep track of the years anymore, but they called me right before Christmas, like a couple of years ago, and said, "Hey, so Kofi's in the hospital. He's got to get this surgery. We need somebody to fill in for maybe a couple months. And could you learn these 60 or so songs? We got to get together on January 6th." So I kind of had it felt like about a week and a half where I was just like, okay, I have to learn all their material. We rehearse, and then we're immediately out on tour. So it was difficult, and I made a ton of charts. I just like charted everything out, tried to play it as much of Kofi stuff as I could. Obviously I don't play flute, so I couldn't play any flute stuff, but all the keyboard and the B3, the piano and B3 stuff. It was funny it was amazing how naturally it all sat with me. Mm-hmm. Even though it was a lot to remember and a lot of little parts and this kind of, but it was like, this is something I might just play myself anyway. You know what I mean? Like I might have come up with this, or mm-hmm. We probably, it sounds like we had some of the same influences, and so it was intimidating though, because he was incredibly amazing. Like he was a freaking genius.
Yeah,
musician.
Big loss to the music world, man.
So it was an honor because I knew Derek. I had heard Derek when I was 23 or something. We actually opened for him. My band opened for him on a handful of shows in the Southeast back in like 2001 or 2. And the first time I heard him, I think I was at Atlanta Music Midtown Festival, and I was playing with my band, and I was looking at the thing. I was like, oh, well, let's go walk around and see who's playing. And I heard him, like I heard Derek play, and mm-hmm. I was like, what? And I just walked up, and I was like, that's the best guitar playing I've ever heard in my life. And yeah. I still just think he's the best,
Oh, for sure.
It's like, because he just he taps in deep to, he just brings forth something beautiful when he plays. And mm-hmm. there are a lot of great guitar players, but not all of them do that. He sings when he plays. He's mm-hmm. like a singer when he plays slide. And so the idea of, it's so weird how many things came together there, because I was thinking, people would ask me in interviews, who would you love to work with? And I'd always say Derek Trucks, and then I did that record, Till You're Gone. I mean, not Till You're Gone. My last studio record, Turns to Gold, mm-hmm. and I had that song, If I Love You, and I really wanted to get Derek to play on it, but I just didn't know him, and I didn't want to just reach out as somebody who'd never met him. And then I did that tour in 2016, and David Ryan Harris, who knows Susan and Derek and has written with them and all that, he was like, I don't know. You got to meet them. You got to work with them. You got to write with them. You got to do something with them. I don't know what. You got to meet them. And then same thing with my buddy Ted Pecchio, who played bass with me a little bit. He told me the same thing one time. And then the very next year, that happened, and they asked me if I would, be part of the band.
Man,
So
that's crazy. I can't even imagine sitting on that stage and the amount of music that's coming off of that stage from how big the band is and everything. And because I'm a huge, well, I know Tim's not playing with the band anymore, but Tim LaFave is like, Wayne Krantz is one of my favorite guitarists ever
oh
too.
yeah, yeah.
So like, Tim has been in my life since my early 20s as well.
I
But
saw him play at the what is it, that place where Wayne Krantz used to always play?
55 bar,
Yeah, 55 Bar, that
yeah,
little tiny place.
hole
I
in the
didn't even
wall.
know it was Tim at the time, but yeah,
Oh, that's awesome.
he's phenomenal.
What's your rig like on that stage? So you've got a B3, you got a clav, right? You're obviously playing a clav, you're
Yeah.
playing piano. Like, is that the biggest rig you've ever been on a stage with besides the McCartney thing? Like,
No, it's bigger than that. Yeah. Yeah, it's the same rig. It's Kofi's rig. I mean, still, and it's what I would play anyway. So
hmm
it works great. It's just I got the piano, like keyboard that I can do piano sounds and Wurlitzer sounds and that kind of thing, and then I've got a Hammond B3 with a clavinet on top.
When did you start playing B3? Like, how old were you when
I
you
bought
really?
a B3. I got really into the B3 when I was 14 or so, and I bought one when I was 15.
Wow.
And just started. I put it in. My parents let me just put it in the living room, and I just jammed out on that thing all the time. Would bring it to gigs when I was in high school. Just me and my dad would haul it in and out of like Third and Lindsley in Nashville, or
Oh man.
even Sutler, like little bitty places. And it was the Allman Brothers inspired me partially to play it because of Greg Allman and just the sound. There's nothing like it. So,
So did you guys have a Leslie in the living room too?
oh
You
yeah,
had like the
yeah.
122 in there, and oh my god,
In
dude.
fact, when I was at school, it was a painted black Leslie, and when I was at school at college, it was still at home for one season, I guess. And like my mom bought this rug, and so she painted it. She's like, I hope it's okay. I'm going to paint your Leslie red to match the rug." I was like, all right, okay. But it's somehow, because it was black underneath, it ended up being more like a salmon kind of color.
Oh man.
So it's still a salmon colored Leslie.
Oh man, that's so great.
I
Oh.
took a break though from B3 for a long time. I mean, I brought it up to New York after college when my band moved up there and had it in my apartment there. But then I guess I haven't really, until very recently, I haven't had a house that's big enough to have the B3 and the piano and all the stuff. So I kind of sent it off to the studio in Nashville to let them borrow it and play it. And I just didn't really play it for years after I was like 24. And then just recently with the Tedeschi Trucks Band thing, I've gotten to really get reacquainted with it, which I love.
What's your favorite tune of theirs to blow over, like when they toss it to you?
I mean, Let Me Get By is really fun.
Whew. That groove. Oh.
Yeah. Bound for Glory. Yeah.
Oh, that thing swings so hard, man.
Yeah. Those are really fun. Totally like made for big B3 solos and piano solos. But also, I mean, all of them really. We do In Memory of Elizabeth Reed, and that's sometimes really fun to do. That cover. And
Did they let you guys? Did they give you space, like in the improvisational setting? Do they like? Is that band like just take it until it feels like it can't go any further, or is it like you got 32 bars, bro? Like, make it worth it, kind of thing.
I that's a good question. I can take it anywhere I want to take it.
That's
but
cool.
We don't want to take it somewhere that's not happening, like if I'm flailing a little bit, I'll be the first one to kind of try to cut it short, But the more I play, and the drummer, Tyler Greenwell, he's sort of has encouraged me from the start to be like, look, this can go anywhere. You can take it anywhere you want. It's open. It's free, And so there have been a few times where it felt right to go somewhere out to lunch, and like really different. But usually I stay to like I don't like to play. I don't like to keep playing if it doesn't feel inspired. So it's occasion. Derek can play. Derek just seems like he's inspired almost all the time. So
the whole night.
He takes pretty long solos that he builds really well.
Yeah.
And the times that I'm able to do that are I do, but I don't want to pretend like I'm taking it somewhere when I'm not, because it's easy. I don't. So does that answer the question?
No, yeah, for sure. Because
I can do whatever I want, but I like to be respectful of the muse and the music that's got to happen in that moment.
That's probably why you have the carte blanche to take it where you want, because you you respect the song and you know when to say is enough, like because it seems like Derek is a pretty responsive band leader. Like you can see he's very attentive without looking like he's like Hawkeye and everything on stage. You can see that you guys are all communicating, you're all on the same boat, and that's when there's magic happening in a band. Like when there doesn't have to be a referee, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it seems like everybody's comfortable and knows we're all in good hands here. Like everything's going to be fine,
Yeah. Yeah. He's good. He's good in that role. 'Cause he sort of lets people shine and shakes it up when it feels like it needs to be shaken up, kind of like if something's dragging, kind of try to get it up, keep it up, or if something's like, one night, he's like, we all try to communicate with each other, and so there might be one night where it would be a bass solo, but he like throws it to sax, or vice versa, and it's like, well, this feels like it needs to be different tonight, So it's good.
That's cool. That's really cool, because it's such a big band, so it's like there's a lot of opportunity to let all you great musicians shine every night.
It is a big band. It's a big sound, and everybody's. I mean, it's those first few songs, especially the first few months I was in the band. It's like hits me, like, oh man, I have to be on. I have to be on, because everybody's really good, and it's kind of like I don't want to be the one who's dragging, who's like not on it. So it's a really good challenge musically, because my challenges before, like in the periods before, like the 5 years before that, were really, how can I write the best song possible? How can I make this lyric and melody be just perfect and say a lot without saying too much? It's like it was all about songcraft, which was a great period to be in as a writer for a publisher and that sort of thing. But I had gotten away from that kind of musicianship and like really trying to be that excellent at improvising and staying in a groove and that kind of thing. So it's been a really good challenge for me.
That's so cool, man. What is your mix like in your InEars? Like when you guys sound check and stuff, like are you like prominent with your keys obviously in your ears, but do you like having specific band members to help guide you for cues and stuff?
No, I mean I have wedges on this gig, so I don't even
Oh,
use
really?
ears. Yeah.
Okay.
They were there. That's what Kofi used, and so I haven't changed them, and it's working for me. I try not to let the volume get too loud.
Right.
But we just rehearse a lot. We have a rehearsal room before, at the venue. So we'll always get together because we're changing the setup all the time, and we'll have to be reminded of a song they haven't played in like 5 or 8 years, and I've never played,
Right.
heard, me and the bass player. Thank God Brandon like jumped in the same time I did, so we were both kind of in the same boat as far as like being overwhelmed with how much stuff. But I mean, even still, we'll get thrown a song we've never heard before, like right before the show. Wow. And but we'll get to run it in rehearsal. We have stuff set up backstage, and it usually goes all right.
I'm sure it does when you've got like such a great rhythm section and like meaning you, bass player and drummer and stuff and drummers. I feel like you kind of can't go wrong. And I feel like most of the stuff, anytime they drop like an interesting, cool cover, it's like an old blues cover that is like being revived in a way, like things that like an old John Lee Hooker tune or something like that. That's really cool. And I love that they let you sing too, man. Like, you know, I love hearing Susan and Matt and everything, but like I want to hear you sing too. So I'm glad that's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, me too. I'm like between Susan and like Mark and Mike and Alicia, like the singing's covered. So whenever they ask me to sing something, I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
I think they're glad that I sing, but you know, I'm just honored, man. Like when they let me do it.
Yeah, I meant to say Mike. I said Matt. I said my brother's name, but yeah, it's. I mean, I love his voice too, but like I love your voice too, man. You should be singing. You should be singing on that gig. And on that note, before we like wrap up and get into the lightning round, tell me what's going on with the new record, because I told you I love that song. I love "Late on Me." How many tracks are we looking forward to? Like I know it's.
Boy, let's see. I think it's about 10, and I did this album with a friend of mine named Dustin Ransom, who's just a freak of a musician and producer and writer and great singer himself. But he and I just did this, the two of us, pretty much. I wrote through the songs with him, and I wrote the rest with other folks. And I think it's about 10 songs. It's called "Lay It On Me." It was going to come out this year, probably in the summer, because I was going to be on the bill opening with my trio for Tedeschi Trucks Band. And
Man.
Me, and then St. Paul and the Broken Bones, and then TTB with me in it. And then all this happened. So I kind of had a moment where I was trying to figure out what to do, you know, and I just basically decided to push the record release till this year. And so that's what we're going to do. Even if the summer tour, I'm still on the bill for this summer's tour. It's all been pushed to July. But I think even if the tour doesn't happen at this point, I'm going to release the album in the late spring, maybe.
Okay.
Something like that.
Okay.
So, but I'm really proud of it. I mean, it's different than all the other ones, but it's kind of like a combination of some of the best stuff from each one, I think. You know, like as far as style and approach and feel, it's got some really funky things and some more like soloing in it, and but it's also got, you know, one song that's pretty kind of tender, introspective piano kind of thing. I don't know. I'm really excited for people to hear it.
I'm excited to hear it, man. I can't wait. I was like, I got an iTunes gift card for Christmas. And I'm like, damn it, I wish his album was out right now so I could buy it. But so did you play guitar on this record too? Like multi-instrumental?
I don't think I played guitar. No,
okay.
Not on this one.
Okay.
I played piano and keyboards and a little percussion and a bunch of BGV, background vocals, and but no guitar.
Okay. How do you usually arrange your ideas for background vocals? I always am curious about this for specific artists and how you approach.
I just try stuff like, I don't know. I mean, like with Bend the Curve, which is just like a single song that I released a couple months ago. I put a lot of background vocals on it, but it was just me literally with this mic. Just I'd sing one part and then I'd add a harmony to it, and then I'd add, you know, I'd just keep on going, and if it felt like too much, I'd take some stuff out, but you know, just trial and error.
Yeah,
I guess
it's interesting because like some people have a very practical approach of like root third fifth, maybe seven kind of thing here and there, tensions if I can, passing tones like suspensions, things like that, and then there's a lot of folks that I know that just like whatever hits you, kind of do
Yeah.
that. Maybe double track it, make it sound bigger, whatever you may do. But
Yeah.
it's, you know,
Oftentimes I will double my background vocals, or when I'll do a double of the lead, but I won't sing the consonants,
hmm
so it'll
hmm
just be kind of like ghosted and make the whole thing
wider.
um, a little more transparent, I guess.
hmm
But I used to just be like, oh, look at what I can do. I'm going to sing every note in the chord as a harmony. And it's just like, after a while, like it doesn't always, like a lot of times it just needs two parts.
hmm
And I remember I did that song, Further the Sky, from the Gabe Dixon Band record. And we got Mindy Smith in to sing the harmony. And she just started singing like alternate melodies. Like they weren't parallel with what I was doing all the time. They were just kind of like another melody that she tried to find that would work with my melody, even if it wasn't always lockstep. And I like that approach. Ever since then, I've kind of been like, maybe I don't have to think so much about being parallel with just like sing something that also sounds good at the same time, another
Right.
melody.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, the process of recording and everything, I also find very interesting, like what we were talking about with Tumbleweed Connection, because there's a couple albums like that. A seminal record that I always talk about on this channel is Robert Palmer's Sneakin' Sally Through the Alley. How that album.
Yeah, that is such a great record.
Oh my God. But Tumbleweed Connection, just how the drums were recorded, which I'm sure it's probably just mono. Like there's probably two overheads, like it's something probably ridiculous like that. And they just captured this amazing sound. But the way that music is recorded today, I mean, you can see a lot of people trying to figure out ways to make things sound old. Like Raphael Sadiq's record with, oh my gosh, what's the name? The Way I Hear It, The Way I See It. I can't remember the name of the record, but that's it sounds like an old Motown record. Like you
Is
would
that
think it.
the one that came out in 2019, or is it earlier than that?
No, it's older. It's the one with 100 Yard Dash on it.
Okay, I don't know if I know that one.
Oh man, you should check out. Just look up the song 100 Yard Dash. You'll be like,
Okay.
whoa. That's a great track. But like, it's something I've learned from even back like from the first TTB record is when they were talking about their studio in Florida and stuff and recording, like, why would we keep upgrading gear when it ain't broke, don't fix it,
Uh
like
huh.
kind of thing. I like that
Yeah. I
about
mean, you
that.
can do a lot with it. A lot of it is like, if you've got good gear. I mean, if it sounds great in 1965 or 1972, like you can get it to sound great now and even better too.
hmm
I mean, it's a lot of it's about the engineer, like where are they placing the mics? What's their chain, like compression and preamps and all that stuff.
hmm
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, and a lot of it's the performance, I think.
Oh yeah.
There's a certain point at which, like, okay, we're good. Like, we don't need to obsess
Yeah.
beyond that. Like, let's make sure we get the music part right.
Yeah.
Um,
Are you of the camp of like when you're writing a song, if it doesn't make the hair stand up on your arm, you're like, it's not good enough to show my band, or it's not good enough for me to record, because if you can't save a song with production,
mhm.
you know?
Right. Oh, no. I mean, my approach is just like sometimes. Yeah, no, I don't do that per se. Like, I just sometimes I'll have something that's feels so deeply personal to me, like the attitude of it, the feeling of it, that I'm almost embarrassed to bring it out. But it like makes me feel really good and just like, oh, I just want to play this all day, and like I feel like I'm setting free something in the
Mm-hmm.
universe. And that's actually a lot of times I'm afraid to show those ideas to
Mm-hmm.
people because they feel so personal, and I know, like, I love them so much, that like I almost don't want to play them for someone, because what if they don't like it? Then like I call into question my whole feeling about my whole sense for what's good that I do, and I've gotten a lot better about setting those things free.
Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah, but like that song, "Lay It On Me," is one like that. Like just the chorus part. I was playing that forever. I was playing like the. I didn't even have like the real lyrics yet. I was just going, send me love, you that I believe in love. Send me love, you that I believe in love. That was it, just over and over and over. That's all I wanted to do for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then I brought it in. I was doing so many co-writing sessions back then. It was awful. To be honest, it was good exercise, but I couldn't bring it into just anybody, So I got together with this guy, Jamie Hartman, that I knew would be open to the idea, and he got it, and like we finished the song.
I'm glad you did, man, because like I'm telling you, man, the first time when I heard you play it. And you might have, when I caught it, it might have been, because I'm usually on all the Instagram lives when you go live and play and stuff. But like when I heard that song, it resonated with me hard.
Cool.
Hard enough for me to like write a tune. Like it inspired me in that much, man. I'll send it to you. I'll shoot you an email and don't judge it too much, because it's a demo. But yeah, you can be like, Mark, this is awful.
I'm so gonna judge you.
But you'll see what I'm saying. Like it's totally me trying to like pull ideas from what you were doing into like, because I had a dream that night. So, and then we'll do the lightning round. But I had a dream after hearing that song that night. I went to bed, and I had a dream that my wife was standing on a beach, and all I saw was her back, and the water was just coming up to her feet, going back out. And I like was looking at her while I was walking to her. And then I woke up and I was like, all right, got to go to the piano. And I like grabbed my pen and paper and that's how it happens.
That's
and
amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing what music can do.
How did you know I wrote that song about your wife? No,
all right, you ready to do this lightning round get down?
Yes.
All right,
but let's see.
Here are the rules. There are no rules. It's like Fight Club. Except for the fact that you can, if you want, you can just burn through. If I'm asking you a question, you can just burn through. It's like a this or that, would you rather kind of thing. Okay. And there will be a little bit of suspense with a metronome at 105 BPM. The first question is always the same, and I know what your answer will be. Lennon or McCartney?
Well, I got to say McCartney.
Yep. Smooth or chunky peanut butter?
God. I guess chunky. I guess.
All right. Apple Music or Spotify?
Apple Music.
All right. Rick James or Rick Astley?
Rick James.
All right. Would you rather be always 15 minutes early or 15 minutes late?
I'd rather always be 15 minutes early, but I'll never be early to anything. But I'd rather be.
All right. Darth Maul or Kylo Ren?
I guess Darth Maul.
Okay. Clavinet or B3?
B3.
And the age we're living right now, Zoom or Skype?
Guess I gotta say Zoom. Yeah.
All right. Baseball cards or Garbage Pail Kids?
Baseball cards. I did love some Garbage Pail Kids, though.
Me too, man. All right. And here's the last one. Sometimes this is super easy for people. Sometimes it's not. This one's a little bit more heady. What is a record that you wish you could go back, erase your memory, and forget it so you could experience it again for the first time?
God. Um, man, I have to say, that's too much, man.
Right?
For the first time, I mean, I don't know. I'm just probably just to say something super cliche, but you know, I mean, they're the best records of all. How do you narrow it down to one? That's crazy. That's crazy.
You can just throw it out there. It doesn't matter. It's like
I would just say, for the first time, probably go with like one of Elton's records. Either that or Dark Side of the Moon.
Oh, okay.
I'd go with Dark Side of the Moon.
Wow, okay.
In this moment, that's what feels right.
Okay. That's a solid. I did not expect that. That's a great answer. That's a fantastic answer. All right, well, you made it through. You survived the lightning round get down. Thank you, sir. Yeah, it's funny. I had a conversation with you know this guy Blue? He's based out of LA. He's a songwriter. He's done stuff for like Disney, and he's had like he's a huge power pop guy. So like
I don't know.
Jellyfish and like all that stuff. Like that's a record that I wish I could erase my memory and hear Spilt Milk for the first time.
Oh wow.
Again.
Huh.
So
that's cool. Yeah.
It's a good record. But we were talking about that, about like erasing your mind and like going back and listening to, you know, some specific record that you absolutely love and has never left your, you know.
I mean, maybe like you said Blue, it made me think of Joni Mitchell Blue. I might say that one. It's just, you know, music is so like the mood you're in has a lot to do with it. Like, would I want to listen to Joni Mitchell Blue if I was like on my way to a business meeting or something? You know, I don't know. Maybe I'd want to listen to like. I mean, I had such an amazing time listening to Radiohead's Kid A album when it first came out. I just remember exactly where I was and the whole thing. The sun was going down. I was driving in the van with my band, and we got the CD and put it in and listened to it, and it blew my mind. I mean, there's just too many good records, man. I can't give a good answer on that one.
I know. It's a stupid question, but I was like, it's a good one too, though, because it's just like we love music. We're consumers of music too, and I mean, I definitely feel that way about like when I like Radiohead. I mean, come on, like "Hail to the Thief." It's one of my favorite records, and "In Rainbows." How can you beat "In Rainbows"? Like
that's such a great record. And it's funny that the question makes me wonder, you know, there are certain albums that I didn't even fully appreciate until the third or fourth or fifth listen, or even more, like their OK Computer album. So I don't know if I would choose to go back and listen to it for the first time. The first time I listened, I thought, I think this is really good. This guy's a little kind of whiny, and I don't. There's something to this. I got to listen to this again. You know.
Yeah.
But ones that hit you, like what hits you right away? Like what's a record that's like the first time you heard it, you freaked out? I mean, for me, the first time I heard Tumbleweed Connection, I lost it. I was like, because I'd already heard Yellow Brick Road from Elton John and, you know, some of his other ones. And this was like the first time I'd heard him in that like raw of a feeling and energy. So I think I'd probably choose to listen to that one again for the first time.
Yeah. I mean, there's, like you said, there's so many. I've been revisiting Van Morrison recently, and you know, the Street Choir record is so good. I told my wife if we're going to renew our vows at some point and we're at 15 years this year. So like we should renew our vows. Thanks, man. And I was like, we got to dance to If I Ever Needed Someone, I Need You. That song is so good. Do you know that track?
I don't know if I know that. Is that Van
man.
Morrison? If I ever needed someone, I needed you.
It's like a 12/8 like.
I need to check that out.
Oh man, it's so good. Yeah, check out that and check out 100-Yard Dash tonight.
Will do.
You're gonna have a dance party in your kitchen. The 100-Yard Dash. Trust me, man. Well, I don't want to hold you up from your family, buddy. Thank you so much, Gabe, for doing this. It was such an honor and a pleasure to speak with you and hear your story. And you got a fan in Baltimore, man, big time, and big influence on me is musically speaking, just like all my other heroes up there with, Hendrix and all these cats. So
thank you. Thank you very much. I'm happy we got to do this.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. So this will live in perpetuity on the channel. So thanks for the people that were hanging out and watching in and out. And we'll see you next week for episode 2. See you guys.